Spirits lane before he gets level 6, you can get some pretty damn easy kills early on if you're out of position.
Killing the Ancient, but really who can kill the most heroes as well? That's where you get the gold, the experience, and I mean, it's really all about the killers in the end. I don't know if you can ask for peace right now.
Can't we just bet that everyone has a good time, you know? It's the first game, you know? I guess there is a lot to play for, actually. You want to separate yourselves from the pack super early on, take a little bit of pressure off of yourselves. You know, it's always a stressful situation, right? Being behind the 8 ball, being in a situation where you have to win every single game. You know, if you're able to build up a little bit of a lead, not to say you can get complacent, but it just takes a little bit of that extra pressure off, because it's been helped a little bit that Boom has moved up to Division 1 now, but there is so many good teams fighting for just 2 spots for that promotion in Season 2 to Division 1.
Without a doubt. And you want to start with some confidence.
Look at this rotation. Army Geniuses, this is something that they do pretty well.
You really don't want to force an early blink level, and Citrus, he held it to the last second. He knows how important that dagger level 1 is, and honestly, is that worth giving up the kill? And we'll find out, but I mean, this should give at least the first full couple of waves to the Storm Spirit.
I mean, that's a good way to give Azura a much better lane, right? You have to make that decision. Is it worth giving up the first blood? I mean, it could have gone to anyone, right? You were in such a stressful situation that you just want to get the kill. Maybe I feel like giving up that first blood was probably the better option, unless Ragdoll are just thinking, look, regardless of this, we just feel like we're going to be in a good position to get first blood for ourselves. He's still, you know, at level 2 for Citrus. He could look to put a bit more of that pressure on. But if they don't get first blood, then this is a big win coming through for Army Geniuses.
I really want to pay attention now to this mid lane. I just want to see, because we put a lot of emphasis saying this game feels like it's on the Storm Spirit. Like a lot of the early damage, Azura needs to be making rotations to kind of help the side lanes. And we were saying this mid matchup is not going to go as well versus the Queen of Pain, but now he's been almost given a lifeline. Like they've chucked him out an extra, potential here to turn an unfavorable matchup into maybe a 60-40 or even a little bit better than that. So all eyes on Azura, because we were both really impressed with his performance overall in the Pro Series 9.
Yeah. I mean, you're essentially just giving him an entire first creep wave for free, right? Like, it's going to bring him to that level 2. Citrus is probably going to take him a few creeps into that wave until he's able to get up to that point. So, victory there. Doesn't help that he's missing a few of these last hits, though.
So much for it helping out.
Might be just the nerves. Game 1 nerves coming through. A lot of these players, it's the first time they've even played at all in the DPC, you know. The first iteration of it. A few of these players, again, competition is always stiff within the Southeast Asian region. Topside VT faded. He's actually getting gone on a little bit up here as well. His tag is correctly showing as well. He's a little bit worried that it might show as Lisa M, which he had previously.
Get to see the full man at heart here. Back on the spamming terribly. He, along with Ragdoll, are really comfortable on. But how do you feel about this lane? Because I'm a big fan of Terrorblade with any stun, but still a Tide Dark Willow is a pretty strong lane. Tied with anyone this hero at this stage in Dota is an incredible place, but unless he gets brought down from the level 2 combo, as Wami will give up first blood, Dark Willow's going to look to maybe turn it back around and get some damage out, but yeah, giving up that first blood is not what you want to do with the first metamorphosis.
For sure, and well, Azura, despite the fact that he had that skilled matchup with the Blink, obviously having to be skilled up by Citrus, he has just gone a little bit ahead in net worth, but there's slightly bigger creep wave for the Queen of Pain to farm, so he's going to be able to pick that up. He's got the bottle coming out to him, and now you can just see the strength of the harass coming out from the Shadow Strike. He's even got a Tango remaining after this. He's going to be able to guaranteed pick up one of those Water Runes, maybe 2 if they look to contest the same one. That's the other advantage that Queen of Pain has, right? Just the ability to be able to use that Blink before any kind of movement abilities on the Storm Spirit or any boots are picked up there. that value of that sentry ward again, only now just prior to the 3-minute mark getting that small camp unblocked. So he's constantly had to go back to the lane to secure any amount of farm for himself. Citrus, he's going to look to punish an early level 4 compared to Azura. Let's see if he's able to use it to its potential.
Definitely is at the moment. Just a consistent harass. Wolf go down up top, in fact. I saw solo kill. We were putting some emphasis as well on the Dark Willows. Meanwhile, Citrus finds a solo on Azura. So back and forth we go across the map as you were asking to see how Citrus could use this early advantage, and that he does.
Yeah. So the fact that he was forced to scale up that blink, a complete non-factor now. Like, this lane is just going to be heavily Queen of Pain favored, even more so now with the bottle refill coming through. Just wanting to make sure that the bounty rune is still available. They've got vision of it with their own observer, but Stack's starting to build up a little bit here, just wanting to enable Azura to move away from that lane as much as possible. He knows how much harassment's going to be coming through from him. And look at Menu Ping. He's just hanging around, making sure to block up the camp again, soak up the experience as well. It's just bullying Azura right now.
Hopefully Lim sticks around, because he's got a sentry. He's now actually going to look to double back and maybe de-ward the camp. Menu Ping, again, like you said, just being a nuisance, really trying to limit the farm that Azura can get. It's one of the nice things about the Storm is that you do still farm the jungle at a pretty decent rate. So we can see some of the losing matchups, you'll just fall back to the jungle early on, but with all the emphasis that Ragdoll are putting on at the moment to continue to shut down.
And I think the thing with the Queen of Pain these days as well is that, you know, Citrus right now, he's got the 2 points in the Shadow Strike. He put the second point into the Scream of Pain as well at level 5, not wanting to fully commit into the Shadow Strike. Because, again, it's going to be quite heavily on him to try and deal with the Tidehunter super early on. You know, he's still quite tanky against a lot of their damage outside of the Timber Saw and before the Lion hits up onto level 6. So I feel like Citrus, if the Storm Spirit keeps coming back to the lane, you're going to put more points in the Shadow Strike, but otherwise just leveling up that Scream of Pain so that you've got a good potential to be able to take out these other heroes, because you don't want Shadow Strike to just be cancelled out by that Kraken Shell.
You're one of the good ones.
A lane we haven't really paid too much attention to is down bottom. I mean, there's been no kill threat at the moment, but looks like GY is having a really good time. He's trading farm with the Spectre, but this is the fact that GY has hit kind of the threshold where he's almost unkillable. Now will really open up the map for Yif, and we can just see these early rotations. Like, he's going to look to play around with the Queen of Pain because they together have a lot of kill threat.
He's even just soaking the experience even further from Azura. Like, as long as Azura's not level 6, yeah, I mean, why not?
I get the creeps. That's free gold. Oh, even the courier.
Oh no,
Radiant's courier
had
has
to
been
worse, I gotta say.
That's animal cruelty.
All of the vision as well coming up here. The observer ward placed inside their own jungle. It's slightly out of that sentry range on the high ground. They don't have any heroes with abilities to just scout out on top of that high ground except for Azura. And right now he can't go scouting for wards. He needs to make sure he's securing any farm that he can, because he's falling a long way behind right now. It's TP rotation.
First rotation from Citrus. It's going to be forced to drop the ultimate here. They need that extra damage to bring down Wami. Unfortunately for VT Faded, he doesn't have a level. It feels like it's not important of a kill. Honestly, I can kind of respect that. I mean, you hold the ulti. I think they really want to kill the Storm Spirit. I think that is a much more valuable kill if they could just put Azura completely in the grave.
But at least now he's level 6 and he's got this gigantic stack that he's looking to farm. Yep, he's going to try and position himself around the area. They even scouted out with the use of that rocket flare. Oh, yeah. How much of it can you steal away? It's 2 points in the Earth Spike. It's a decent amount of damage.
Even Clock is coming over too. All the supports at the moment, but he's going to have to go into Azura's relatively strong resources after the mana, and health was picked back up.
Well, I could just take it. I think you're fine with that as well.
Should get majority of it, but the thing is that Storm's tracking all the way back to base, so they're soaking the camp with 3 heroes on Radiant and 2 on Ragdoll. So this is still probably mission accomplished if you would say so for the boys on Dire.
Yeah, very happy with it. I mean, it just means the GY is free to farm. You can see VT faded. He's well up there at the top of the net worth charts right now. Everything's going right for Ragdoll, even though the kill score is slightly in Army Genius's favor. He's in a little bit of danger of going down here if he's not on point with his jukes.
DY. He's got plenty of mana to work with too, thanks to the Soul Ring, and DB is going to get no assistance at the moment, it looks like. Go for a TP out, knowing the abilities are on cooldown, and he'll just make it with some nice awareness. But further on, let's take a look inside the river. Citrus and Menu Ping, batting out for the 50-50 power rune.
Obviously very, very important to be focusing that one down. They end up picking up the haste for Citrus here, but the fact that Azura used all of his mana to go ahead and do that means DB just used his TP back to base, right? He had the haunt available, so maybe if they find the right sort of pick-off, DB can use that first haunt, you get a quick early kill onto someone, but you just can't do it with Azura with no mana.
This is something that Ragdoll play really well with when they have these early towers and just can enable so much farm, because they have a greedy 4, they've got a greedy 2. Both Yif and Citrus really like being able to get early farm along with VT Fader. So if you can open up the map with these early towers, it really kind of plays perfectly to their style.
Yeah, that farming core style. You got VT Faded and Citrus looking to, you know, help with taking a few of these stacks together. Yeah, you can just give this one over to VT Faded Citrus. I know you've been teammates for a long time, but you know, you just gotta stamp your authority sometimes as that Queen of Pain saying, nope, I'm the one that's putting the pressure on early on. You're not going to be killing this Tide Hunter too much, so just give it all to me.
Is GY killable? Like, he's almost got hood. I hope he doesn't die now that I said that. Sure.
If Willow has 6, yes. But by that point, he's going to have to be. So it's a lot more sustainable, of course. It just feels like so rough that they're going to try and get any sort of kill potential happening here. And we don't even know what DB's item build's going to go. It's on a Falcon Blade super early on, just wanting that farm accelerant, I suppose. But are you in a position where you can go for an Aghanim Scepter? I feel like you, with the amount of I don't hate it. I mean, it's going to be consistent damage coming up from the Queen of Pain. The Timber Saw, you can look to turn it around a little bit, but the main concern is you're going to be losing a lot of your vision quite soon because of all these towers that are consistently going to be pressured by, of course, a TB with Metamorphosis, a Timber Saw that can just park himself in the most dangerous position on the map.
It does open access to the Ancients too, because Storm Spirit's not a hero that can farm them. I guess you got Tide, but it looks like at the moment Womy's just really looking to park himself down bottom and keep this tower alive for as long as possible. I think this could be one fight that Radiant can maybe pull out edge of victory here, where if they dive Womy too aggressively and then he can turn it with Ravage and TPs, but
over here now.
Not just Ravage, TPs, and Terrorize, so you've got a long time to be able to lock people in position, especially someone that's inherently a little bit squishier like the Queen of Pain.
And GY's going for this. Oh, this guy's got no cares in the world. The main thing is you push Storm all the way back. You stop him from farming top. He now has to walk all the way back to the fountain. It's just... You take a look at the comparison between the cores. Terrorblade free farming, Quap free farming, and then the Radiant cores. They've got heroes up in their face, contested with their farm. It's completely different.
Look at Yip's positioning as well. He's in there just to make sure that there's no easy kill. I mean,
no easy kill.
Double stun.
Without a doubt, they're over too. Yip will finally fall, but what is the price you're gonna pay for it? A potential death on Wommy Middles. He's still got DB nearby. The Force use more of a defensive Ravage. It's tied with that takeability in the hood. It's not enough to get him out to safety. They even subbed it down DB with the help of Citrus blowing up the Spectre. A 2-for-2 trade across the map, but also more objectives soon to fall.
Here I am.
They're going to try, again, GY is just able to go this deep because of his inherent toolkit as the Timber Saw. See, one thing that I want to see come out, and you know how I feel towards this ability, but it's a good enfeeble game. I'm telling you, that heal/regen reduction against a Timber Saw, 1 point in it for 45% reduction is nuts.
I just gotta say as well, that's the second trip Storm just took back to base walking in the past minute. I think maybe he got the assist kill on the clock. No, it was on Yif, and yeah, he in fact got the kill, but his network, his 3700 network.
Radiant structures are
Like, it's just, they don't have a Storm this game. We were saying he had to make plays. The Dark Willow's nowhere near.
Radiant's bottom tower
He's going
has fallen.
Blink anyway, but regardless, if he was going Vessel, it would take him so long. And now, I mean, you've got a big G. Why? You've got all your cores are issues. I'm not even just going to list them off. They are just all huge issues this game. Now, this is a nice move with those. Showed on top of the Terrorblade through the Ancients, but many pings into safety. Unfortunately, with the Sun, they're still on cooldown. It won't be enough to keep the Terrorblade alive. Storm's able to zip out, but Citrus will at least clean up one, so they'll trade the life, but a big kill nonetheless so far, Army Geniuses.
It's something, but you are still sitting at a 5k disadvantage at the 13th of the game. You've lost your mid and bottom towers. You don't have anyone that's amazing at taking Ancients just yet, at least until the Spectre's finished up that Blade Mail. Thankfully enough for DB, he's only about 30 gold away. Because Wami, sure, he can take it, but he needs to stand in front of these towers. He needs to soak up a lot of the pressure. You don't have the luxury of putting anyone else in.
Oh, look at this move. Hunting DB out. The recognition that the Spectre is going to be somewhere up top. They found little Spectre. It's pretty beefy, 1300 max dispersion, but with 4 heroes surrounding. Unfortunately, DB once again, I mean, second death of the game and just no space to get any free farm.
At least didn't lose that unreliable gold. He made sure to make that purchase of the Blade Mail before his death, so he'll be able to go immediately back and farm it. I say that as Ragdoll have now invaded the triangle, considering that T1 tower isn't there anymore. They take away that big farming resource that they had. Yeah, this is looking real bad for Army Geniuses, and the thing is, they kind of put themselves in this situation. Sure, they lost the coin flip, which is luck, but you picked a Storm Spirit when the Queen of Pain was available, and Azura is an amazing Queen of Pain player, so he should have known that this matchup had the potential to come out and bite them.
So I mean, I asked the question, I'm gonna ask it again. Do you feel like Army Geniuses have set themselves up to deal with the Terrorblade line that is kind of expected from what Ragdoll played through the open qualifiers?
Probably not. I mean, the Tidehunter is nice for the laning stage, and you're going to get a decent amount of farm from that, but it's not a counter to it, right? Like I said before, in the draft, even though Ragdoll went for second pick, they just picked the Terrorblade in that first phase when they had the counter to it in the, they had the counter pick potential to it with that 8th pick overall. But they just went for the Tidehunter, they went for the safe pick. Maybe if that's how...
They're going to smoke it to GY. This is big if they can try and get a reveal with the Orchid. GY's just... Screw your Orchid, I'm gonna keep posturing.
I feel like they just need to more directly address the Terrorblade thing, rather than just pick what's good for you.
On me as well. Leading the charge, straight into menu ping. He's got some heroes in the back line. Look to try and kite the Timber as best as possible with a Ravage shot as well. Happening here. As they can blow up Citrus, they look to Yif as well. The lack of control, a weakness for the side of Ragdoll in this team fight as they'll all chase down menu ping. Fuckwork. Oh, okay. I don't know if the damage would have been enough anyway, but menu ping should be able to get out to safety. He's got a TP, but everything's now on cooldown. That is a great reveal though. He have the Orchid from the Storm, a regen as well, so he doesn't have to make a full trip to the base, but
Fire's courier got
might be some issues in the next minute knowing that everything's on cooldown.
Radiant's top
Yeah,
tower
everything's
is
on
under
cooldown.
attack.
Queen of Pain didn't end up using her Sonic Wave, so might have been enough to clean up a kill or two before she goes down, but you know, the turnaround potential is that you've got the Metamorphosis available in another 10 seconds, you've picked up the Manta Style plus the Dragon Lance now on the Terrorblade, even has a couple of those infused raindrops, so he's not going to be dropping down to magic damage, or at least the initial burst anytime soon, and they can just look to get real aggressive here throughout the map.
Citrus trying to take some farm away. Maybe a little bit too aggressive though. Doesn't have a defensive item, and second death in a row on the Queen of Pain. Now they're going to look to surround the Timbersaw. Azura without the Orchid, the control lacking here for Army Geniuses. So GY can swing out to safety here with the chain.
They still need the stun into the Bedlam, right? If you can get that kill, if you've got the Orchid available again, he doesn't have the Lotus just yet.
We have revenge tonight.
That Timbersaw is still just going to remain an issue for them until the Spectre gets enormous. Of course, all of that pure damage coming through from the Desolate, from the Dispersion, will be enough to deal with him, but how much are you going to lose before that point?
They're already starting to beat on a Tier 2 tower. Into the game, VT faded, Manta, Dragonlance completed. About to crack 10k net worth as well.
Citrus just used his blink a little bit too aggressively that time around. Now they've at least de-warded up onto that high ground. That's what punished him previously. Need to be a little bit more conscious about where he's making these sorts of engagements happen. I'd be a little surprised if he doesn't just go straight BKB as his next item here. Gonna get aggressive again.
It's because Ravage is back up. It's one a beautiful ultimate onto multiple heroes, but VT faded. He puts his body on the line to sunder the teammate. Now they'll turn it back around. They've wasted the ultimates, and that's the demise. A 1-for-1 trade at the start, but GY now has a free fight as he's looking to clean up. Actually escapes too. Okay. Oh, with some beautiful spell casting at the start. I mean, VT faded with the Sunder, but only a 1-for-1 trade in the end.
4 for a position 3. So right, because you know you're against a Terrorblade. So he's just going to, if you're keeping the net worth lead at 5,000, you're happy with that overall. TB is going to continue to scale just as strong as a Spectre will.
And this does seem like one of the powers of the Army Geniuses lineup. They have some strong team fighting ultimates where, you know, Tide can jump in with Ravage. You've got the Haunt as well, maybe looking to blow 2 heroes up at the start. And soon you're also going to have Dark Willow Blink, so getting on top, bursting a hero down with Bedlam. That feels like the powerful aspect of Army Geniuses lineup here.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have a lot of good response coming through. Whatever Ragdoll are going to try and throw at them, and especially now with the Queen of Pain having that snowball effect removed from the great laning stage, means that they've always got the potential to be able to pick her off nice and quickly. So I wonder if Ragdoll will start to play a bit more on the back foot now. I mean, farming underneath vision. There you can see the immediate pings out coming here. Will it look to be a smoke group together from Army Geniuses to try and make that happen? Go.
They're smoking without Ravage, though.
I mean,
so it's going to be a quick pick. And they'll look to use the Orchid to their advantage. Just once again, Citrus going to end up falling. Okay, so, I mean, Azura and Co bring these back. With Storm Spirit's 5-1 and 3. So we were saying like Azura's not having the greatest game, but KDA's telling a different story.
I mean, when you can get a kill onto the Queen of Pain, I believe twice, and the Terrorblade once, that's a good way to bring yourself back into the game for sure. We've got an interesting item build here from Lim on the Dark Willow going into that Blink Dagger. So obviously wanting to guarantee that with the Ravage plus the Terrorize, that he's able to get in on top of either the Terrorblade or the Timbersaw. Make sure that Bedlam is doing work. I think level 12 is going to be such a big timing coming through from Army Genius here, because the damage increase from level 1 to level 2 Bedlam is
You've just completed his blink though for Ragdoll, so it's going to be a really key item here for how they can now start fights, because there was a lot of emphasis on menu ping, but now if one of the cores or even supports are farming a little bit too aggressive on the side lane, then Yif can jump, and they also have an easy answer now to the Bane Fiends group as well, so you're instantly seeing Guy looking to utilize his power spike.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I do like that they're playing around together, even when they do split up a little bit more once they take this neck objective and they're going to go back to farming. I feel like it's a big mistake if you don't have either Yip or menu ping, just looking to play around.
Look at this.
At least until he's got the BKB.
Smoke on smoke. DY. Instantly looking to try and blow one of the supports, but the Ravage will protect. As now Timber to time. They'll look to bring him down, surrounding GY. The assistants have shown up as menu ping swings on the backline. Finds a hook shot, locking Varese, now setting up a free fight for the cause, as Army Genius haven't been able to blow anyone up with their ultimates. It's been a key component to the last couple of victories throughout these skirmishes. We'll just look for a trade.
They at least get the Ravage on cooldown, and they're able to take a tier 2 tower. So this is a much better game coming through for making sure that no one's isolated completely on their own. It was the Lion that soaked up the majority of the damage, but you're totally fine with that. You support for another support plus an objective. Big win coming through right now. Although the Courier just sitting at the secret shop as well. Menu Pink looking to deny that one away. And what a great hook shot, you have to say as well. Making sure to get it onto the back lines, slowing down the retreat a little further. Good use of the Nightmare though by Varese to make sure that Timber wasn't able to continue diving in onto the high ground. Because I honestly feel like with the Dark Willow dead, he was free to do whatever the hell he wanted.
So what went wrong in that team fight though for Army Geniuses? Was it, you know, maybe the cop didn't get clipped with the Ravage and they weren't able to blow up a core, or they just weren't all nearby to connect with it as actually hold a thought? Ragdoll? Try and push on aggressively with this smoke. They know the Ravage is on cooldown, so maybe a pickoff can lead into an objective afterwards, but the rest of Army Geniuses are still looking to turn this fight back around as they'll jump in, blowing up the line, but they've got to be cautious. Taking a fight in a close proximity like that, not going to be an easy task at all, as also the Bane oversteps his boundary.
Yeah, I mean, I think any single fight where a Queen of Pain is going to get instantly blown up, you just take all so much of that burst damage potential, and the Willow, like I mentioned before, going down, it does reduce a lot of that control, right? Sure, you've got the Ravage, but there wasn't the Terrorize afterwards that you needed to get those follow-up kills. You also had Menu Ping with a great hook shot onto the backlines to make sure that the Storm Spirit was constantly running away from the team fight rather than diving in deep, which he wants to do. Like, he's got the BKB freshly purchased, 9 seconds still. So the big question is, how are they going to be playing around Roche as this next opponent to Illusion available on Citrus, so doesn't even need to pop the BKB if he wants to try and get out of that Orchid or get out of a Bramble Maze. A bonus coming through from him. Might even be able to dodge out the Ravage if he's perfectly on point.
I think that's 3 smokes for Ragdoll in the past 3, maybe 4 minutes, so continue putting the pressure on. They're down to the Spectre. They're instantly going to look to blow him up. No messing around for Ragdoll. A huge start for the fight. Now they're on top of Mommy as well, limiting his ability to find the perfect Ravage. Just looking to split up Army Geniuses as best as they possibly can. Mommy's cycloned up in the air. He'll use it now for the last second. They're going to look to buy back and turn it around. DB getting back in the fight. It's a triple for GY. And Messi wanted that. But now with the heroes overwhelming, they're going to push him down to the southern side as GY just got too much damage in the tank. An ultra for your Timber.
Radiant has
Now DB, can he TP out? He can. A heavy commitment though, buying back and almost giving a rampage over.
I want to just give another shout out to Menu Pink, just realizing the position, using that rocket flare again. Vision wins games a lot of the time at this high level, and made sure to use that rocket flare onto the low ground where the rest of the team was most likely playing, getting the hook shot in onto the Tide Hunter, so there was no hope for any kind of Ravage stun to come in to make sure that maybe the Spectre lives, maybe she doesn't need to buy back.
That's a big hit in DB's net worth. It's now 4K behind the Terrorblade, who is working on the Eye of the Skadi next. And they're still going to stick around. And they know Ravage on cooldown. They're going to look to jump the Storm Spirit again. But the BKB's on cooldown. And Azure giving up a huge streak to Citrus. But they're not done. GY swinging over the tree line is going to find Romy too. Control still one of the big issues for Ragdoll. Yif is kind of waiting in the wings, trying to find the angle, find that perfect opening to follow up, but Army Geniuses will at least get out.
Let's stop this push though. I mean, it's been about 4 or 5 minutes until I said that level 12 timing on the Dark Will was going to be important, and he's gone up about 1 level in that time, so it's just delayed it so much further.
Radiant's middle
Again, like,
barracks have fallen.
this is just another game where Ragdoll are looking to close it out around the 30-minute mark when they've still got insane scaling for later on.
Dire's bottom tower needs
I mean, it just seems like this team, how they can execute the lanes and then convert those winning lanes into early towers and continue to grow the net worth lead. They play the map so incredibly well. Yeah, we see their fight selection as well seems on point through the open qualifier games, through this game as well.
Coming through, they know they're in the region around this Roche pit. Doubt anyone looks to come nearby with the use of that observer ward, just there on the low ground. It's hard to find too much negative to say about Ragdoll, to be honest. And, you know, I'm someone that likes to keep it positive, but outside of those few pickoffs onto Citrus where he didn't have the BKB and he might have been a bit too aggressive, it's been looking pretty damn good for them so far. Efficiency, right? Like, I think you summed it up perfectly. The team fight choices, choosing when to get the kills and what kills are actually important in the context of the game. Because if you just looked at the kill score, you'd be like, oh, it's looking pretty damn even. They've got a Spectre on Army Geniuses. You can look to scale pretty damn well to the late game, but a 17k net worth lead in favor of Ragdoll.
He's going to look to try and blow up the line. So first supports not available for the team fight, and then you pin. Feels the importance of being able to rejoin with the buyback through on the Spectre. They'll blow him up. No DB. They're also locking on top of Reese too as the Bane stuck inside the mouth of the pit as Ragdoll trade a 2-for-2. But I mean, that's the dieback on your Spectre, and that is free Roshan as well.
Yeah, I mean, fight choice amazing. Just looking to bait out certain regions as well. Even just using the cogs for that little bit of extra vision. All players take note. The wrong players off cooldown. You can still cogs for that little bit extra that you might need to be able to get the D-Water off. Not even wanting to go into the Lotus Orb this time around on GY's Timber, sorry, went the Eternal Shroud instead. Menu Ping looking to try and pick that up as his next item. Don't hate it at all, but they know that this dieback is faster. Absolutely nothing stopping them from trying to push on forward. Nearly a miracle for him to make this happen. And while Tommy's just farming down here on the bottom side, they're not scared of anything at all.
Meta for about 2/3 left, plus flamethrower. So much pushing potential. That's 2 full sets of barracks, and they're going to look to navigate down to bottom as well. The last tier 3 and barracks left standing as we've got the Ravage, but no Spectre. Can they delay long enough for DB to rejoin?
No hookshot now, so at least you've got that secondary layer of initiation. I feel like you kind of have to go right now on Wami. You know the Haunt.
You gotta go.
Keep it available.
It's on cooldown for 30. She's gonna TP into the middle. No meta, but keep in mind, still second life, and now they're up against Mega Creeps. Forever defense and DB. He's in the front line as well. He's asking, praying for assistance. Gets some spite. Retreat, but now Azul's going to look to jump as well once they catch them off guard. Menu Ping's not the easiest kill though. 1900 health on the clockwork plus the Plague. So he'll survive through all the Storm's burst, and with that Ragdoll, they can decide what they want to do next.
Yep, BKB on Storm as well has been used, so now you just feel like you can't push on forward now on Azura. They're up against Mega Creeps. It's 23k net worth at the 31-minute mark of the game. It's looking pretty damn clinical right now for Ragdoll. Why there was such a favored team going into the season, right? Like, they came through, they blitzed through the first open qualifier, and they've been looking damn impressive throughout. So faded, of course, one of the higher ranked players within the Southeast Asian region as well. I believe he's as high as 3rd or 4th right now on the MMR leaderboard. It's clearly showing why.
DB. Gonna have to use the Hawk defensively, but I mean, how do you get out of this? You're almost succumbing yourself to death. As Menu Ping's gonna catch him out by the hard camp.
TP.
Ooh, yeah, you're right. I mean, they would have been able to scout this out. They'd have the awareness. Gonna try and find a little nook, but it's not deep enough as Citrus Menu Ping surround the Spectre, the position 1 gone. Meanwhile, I mean, they almost lose Azura somehow. Soloed to who was that? Maybe VT faded?
Yeah, good question, because Yip didn't even need to use the Finger of Death there.
Oh, they're being diffused. We saw no defense previously. One last attempt. A ditched one at that. looking for the opener. Maybe the support's Azura. That's the weakness. Maybe the target better, less health pool. Bomb is going to fall for as well, but the BKB is soon to expire from Azura. But they've killed off the line, so a lot of the control now lacking. As they'll turn it back around, though. VT Fade is at a free team fight, a free game. As the boys on Ragdoll secure game 1 opener.
Another great sign. Chris, you know, the BKB might not be available, but there are other ways to be able to ensure.
Radiant team's turn to ban. Dire team's turn to ban. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Radiant team's turn to pick. Dire team's turn to pick.
Weaver.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Geniuses, they've gone through the second pick. The band's a little bit different to start, but first off, I want to ask why should we be paying attention to Army Geniuses having second pick? What does this kind of change in the draft and maybe enable them?
Well, like I mentioned towards the start of game one, is that when Ragdoll win their games, it tends to be around that 30 or so minute mark, and you can't do that unless you've got winning lanes. And I feel like what second pick enables is it allows you to have that response to both the second and third phases of the draft. So you're almost all the time going to have a favorable laning matchup in at least 2 out of your 3 lanes, in my eyes.
5 seconds
and they just have
remaining.
such confidence around that Terrorblade that they were happy to pick it, even giving Army Geniuses the ability to respond to it in the first phase in last game. This time around, it's obviously been a little bit different. I like the fact that Army Geniuses have gone to the second pick, so they're going to have, again, that response potential. But Ragdoll have kind of mind-gamed them a little bit with saying, okay, well, we'll just leave your Weaver in the pool. We know you absolutely want to pick it, so we're just going to go ahead and pick it first. You know, that's something that we're feeling very confident with ourselves. We know that you're not going to ban it most likely because Varese will
10
play it every
seconds
single
remaining.
time if he's got the ability to. By the way, I thought he played a pretty
Radiant
damn
team's
good
turn
Bane
to
game
ban.
that time around, so it's not even that big of a deal
Let's
that they've got a
go.
Bane.
Let's
And we see
go.
a Drow Ranger. Okay, so
Let's go.
before the stream started, I mentioned to you that I was going to ask you a little bit of trivia,
No.
but you've kind of looked at the recent games that Ragdoll have been playing, but I'm pretty
10
sure
seconds remaining.
in like their last 10 to 15 games, they've only played a melee
5
core
seconds
once
remaining.
throughout that entire time, and I'm not counting Terrorblade as a melee core.
Well,
so
hang on.
Dire team
That's
ban.
like
I'm not counting him as a melee core. You know what I mean with all
Alright,
of
I
this.
get what you
Radiant
mean.
team
Yeah,
ban.
Ragdoll. So this, firstly, they were going Death Prophet in a majority of their games through the first open qualifier, and if they weren't able to get the Death Prophet, we use.
Dire
So
team's turn
that's
to
one
ban.
thing, and the second is that they blitz teams with the Drow Ranger. They just outperform to an incredible level. They really like it with the Legion Commander 3. Now, I think more than likely it's just the double aspect. You can use press the attack aggressively and adds like
seconds
more
remaining.
attack speed bonus for Drow, which is really nice to buff up her damage, but also
Radiant
just a
team's turn to
defensive
ban.
factor. Drow is really reliant on your position. If you get caught once, you need some way to keep her alive to maybe then enable a BKB or a Hurricane Pike out. So I think that's what the Legion provides them when they go for this hero.
Dire team ban.
And if Army Geniuses have done their homework, that's something they have to consider because it's against the Bane as well.
Yeah.
I feel like that hero is really suffers against any like saving heroes.
And you might even have 2 now, right? Like the Weaver's been picked up as well. You go the Aghanims, you've got 2 ways to be able to save, not just in terms of obviously being low
10 seconds
HP, but
remaining.
maybe even just some of the positioning on the Drow Ranger. It might give that little bit of an extra
5
gap
seconds
away that
remaining.
you need to get that marksmanship going again. Another hero you mentioned that they play the Death Prophet with it. I feel like this is a pretty damn good Undying game, and it's something that Ragdoll have done a good amount in the past. It just gives you a lot of that teamfight vision again against the Tide Hunter in lane, just helping the Drow Ranger to sit back and farm, and it gives you a lot of kill potential for the laning stage as well up against a
Dire
strength hero.
team's
So I
turn to
think
pick.
it's going to be pretty damn good if they're going to look to pick that one up.
Yeah, some like melee 5, I think Clockwork as well fits that because we saw what Menu Ping could do against the Bane with just
Yep.
hunting him down and also limb support. But you just
Ogre
want
Radiant team's
potentially
yeah,
as well.
Ogre's another perfect example. Just a melee hero to put in front of the
Radiant
Drow,
team's turn to pick.
amplify her a little bit, and they do. So they go for one of them. What's the follow-up here?
I'm totally happy with Menu Pink Clockwork, right? Like, he was fantastic in that game. I was thinking, okay, maybe they might still go the Undying just because, you know, now
Dire
would be
King's
against two strength heroes in the laning stage. Mars! Or Mars. Okay, yeah, it seems fine to me, right? Just a lot of things. This Drow Ranger as much as possible. Both if Army Geniuses are looking to pick up a ranged hero like, let's say, a Medusa, not to say that you would against a Drow Ranger, but it just gives you that extra layer of protection where you can just look to stand behind the arena and just freely teamfight. There's nothing really stopping you from doing that. So, little surprised, to be honest, that they haven't gone ahead and banned a few more of these gap closers. Obviously, they've gone and picked up the Earth Spirit on Army Genius's side, but Storm Spirit's in the pool, Void Spirit's in the pool, Ember Spirit's in the pool. So they must be feeling pretty damn confident with being able to counter whatever the hell Army Genius is looking to go through here.
Faceless Void.
Okay, don't hate that either. It does mean that you need to, in the later stages of the game, if it does get there, catch the Weaver inside the Chronosphere as well, if you're looking to go on to the Drow Ranger, or hell,
Dire Team's turn to ban. Decided? Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant Team ban. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Have you ever had an opportunity where you can absolutely dump some people at your grandma's birthday with some beer pong?
Of course.
Yeah.
Anything. You know how competitive I am. I will make anything a competition. You know, it can be running to the end of the street. I'll want to win, even though I'm slow as hell. And, you know, that's just me being scuffed Elon Australian Musk coming through. Yeah. According to people in chat, I don't see it, but apparently it's a thing. I've also been called scuffed Hugh Grant as well, which is a...
Dire Team ban.
I don't know about that one. I don't think I look like anyone.
That's the one funny thing, that chat can come up with some real interesting comparisons. Like, we've gone through a couple for me as well, and it's just, there's some BuzzFeed guy that someone brings up occasionally. I don't remember his name. It's funny. They get some interesting comparisons, but what are we looking for? We got back to the draft. It looks like both the position twos for either team is left available here.
I mean, it just needs to be something that's able to deal damage inside of the Chronosphere, right? So, taking out a lot of it on both sides, actually. Hell, even just having the OD to be able to, once you get the Aghanim Scepter, to be able to save,
5 seconds remaining.
prevent the Weaver from going any kind of time. They couldn't snipe.
Dire Team's turn to
Not a
ban.
good
Storm Spirit.
We get to see Citrus, at least on a mobile hero, it's instantly answered by the M-bomb. So
Don't hate it.
it's
Light of Fist does still work in the Chronosphere, right? It's not like a Storm Spirit or a Void Spirit where if you're looking to commit for the majority of their damage, you're just going to get stuck inside the Chronos. So at least Slight's able to do something in that regard. And it also gives you that extra layer of gap close. Plus, this is the hill I'm going to die on. It is a good matchup against the Storm Spirit. It never seems to work out, but I feel like Azura is going to be able to finally, with this ability to respond finally to what Ragdoll are able to do, I feel like Azura is in a good spot to be able to take out a more advantageous mid lane than what we saw previously in game number 1.
It does look like a pretty good Ember game, though. Like, the lane is...
Lane is good. My concern is how they're actually going to kill the Weaver. That's my main thing, right? Like, where are the stuns or the silencers outside of the Earth Spirit?
That might not be an issue, though. Like, I think Ember just has to get on the Weaver and just... If you can't Scepter, Drow in the Chrono, then your job is done. That's Azura's job. Just get on top of the Weaver, or Lim get on top of the Weaver. I don't care who it is. Just make sure Yif doesn't have an opportunity to use.
He's just going to look to try and get in on top of the Drow Ranger in every single one of these early game teams.
Prepare for battle.
The Electric Vortex to try and stop that, enable VT Fate. And that's when Faceless Void or Tidehunter look to come in with their ultimates after the fact to try and punish that secondary save potential, because until Weaver has the Aghanim Scepter, you don't have a ton of that. And I don't feel like you want to use the hook shot on an Earth Spirit that's just diving your Drow Ranger. I feel like you need to be using that to try and, prevent the Tidehunter from even joining the team.
How we feel? Do we feel like Ragdoll can take the series early on with a 2-0 start here, or is this going the distance here for Army Geniuses?
I think just in terms of team-to-team matchups, Ragdoll I would have slightly ahead of Army Geniuses, but ways that they've got to deal with this Drow Ranger, better laning matchups. I mean, matchups that just aren't a straight loss from the very beginning. So yeah, I'm giving Army Geniuses a small chance, but probably Ragdoll still favored for mine.
Okay, so you go on the 2-0 route. I feel like that's just the. Is that the safe bet? I don't know.
Go on then. Go Army Geniuses.
Yeah, I am. Screw you. I'm going Army Geniuses. I believe in the boys. I feel like you're a hater. They got 3 bounties, so pretty much can't be wrong now, right? They're also going to see Yiv placing an Observe Ward. So are you sure you want to stick here with Ragdoll?
I stick to my calls. I am a committed person.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing.
I've never flip-flopped back and forth. We're going to see this one time Azura will, or at least the Ember will finally dump to the Storm in a not the greatest matchup.
Oh, it'll definitely happen. But we'll see what happens there. I think as well, one of the other things that Azura is going to have the potential of, you saw the ward get placed, right? So that means that Azura is going to be able to buy his own sentry ward. So not only getting the experience from being able to pick that one up, but also the gold bounty from it too.
Any little extra advantage is going to be huge. Definitely in a matchup like this.
I think you'll probably look to wait until around the 4-minute mark, just so that you're not going to get your own Observer Ward de-warded in response to that. Maybe just when he's going for the top water rune at that timer.
Top lane though, I really like how GY's looking to progress in his items, at least for the lane. He's got the Orb of Venom already queued up. It's going to be a great way to deal with the Faceless Void. Just these little instances of damages, and of course it works greatly with the God's Rebuke as well.
Yeah, just lots of little bits of slow damage basically coming through is the way to stop a Faceless Void in the laning stage. So yep, completely agree. That's how they want to do it. I want to have a look at how Menu Ping is going to look to play around VT Faded. I mean, look at his positioning here. Just this early on, you can afford to do this as a Drow Ranger because you don't have the levels just yet on both the Ember Spirit and the Tidehunter. So he's just positioning himself way aggressively in this lane, making sure that Wami gets as minimal CS as possible.
Have been denied.
Just being able to use the Frost Arrows with the Orb Walking effect as well, not to draw aggro from the creeps.
This is one of the big benefits with the Drow, and how you can get to a stage where you're able to just posture super aggressively in the lane.
Yeah, but then you've also got Lim, who's made a nice little pull, looking to try and reset the equilibrium a little bit. The downside to that is, though, that BT underneath the tower, so bonus for them. No, able to pull to be able to continue to keep this wave in a Ragdoll favorable position. Affected Azura having a better time this go around. Head on the experience front. Both of them are holding the water runes as well. Bot side, actually, VT Fader's in a little bit of trouble here. Still just level 1 on menu ping as well, so doesn't have the cogs to be able to keep them completely away. And they're actually out of regen as well, so only now is the salve actually looking to come through.
Oh, Wami sees a window. They also have to block Lim for the potential roll.
Blood!
He's going to try and wait for kick, but they've waited too long. First blood occurs up top, and Varese as well. It's going to be chased down. Oh, whoa. That's a nice play. Cute nightmare from Varese.
Radiant snow
He's able to heal back up to a respectable amount with the self, so Varese should keep his life, but all things considering, you still find first blood. Then it's going to take a bit of a beating down bottom as well. If Menu Pink can get in a position to block the roll. I thought he was on top of the Earth Spirit.
Me too.
Dying, and I tell you what, your predictions are looking pretty good right now.
And even just against
after it, simultaneously inside the river. Army Geniuses with the two heroes showing bot. They're going to try and use this to their advantage.
Mega kill!
Zero popping the BKB just to get the kill on the clock working out the safety. Can this open up Roche? You got 4 points bugs.
They're beating on Dire's
No,
top
still
tower.
ultimates they're worried about, so they'll look to reset.
But still, I feel like you're happy with that on Ragdoll. It was that bottom wave, right, that I was talking about. The Faceless Void being tempted to go down and farm there. You feel safe, but obviously you've got so much burst potential with that Orchid. I believe, was Weaver there at the time as well? He was the one that, yeah, he assisted with the damage. It's just a lot to be able to deal with in super quick fashion. So until those BKBs are available on Army Geniuses, they're going to need to continuously play a little bit more defensively. You've got one on your Ember Spirit now. Void looking very close to it, so needs to continuously play around the rest of his teammates.
This is the awkward stage in the game though, where you're still cooldown dependent. Like, it's not late game where you've got multiple ultimates with like a refresher, where if you take a fight and it's, you know, we've been speaking a lot about fight selection, but if you take a fight and you only get one kill, maybe on a support, with dropping Chrono and Ravage, Radiant are instantly going to go into Roche. And all of a sudden, they will get Roche and then probably 2 out of towers. So Army Geniuses have to convert on this next fight, or they will lose a lot of map control.
They're moving a little bit early. The BKB is still coming out on the courier. You don't know what vision they have.
Middle tower could use some help.
Finally does pick it up. Like they might even just have Wommy hit into this tower on his own. Just be careful.
Radiant's middle tower is
Going in
under
onto
attack.
the right person. They'll reveal the BKB is up on the Faceless Void now. We caught out here.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's
bait with the other
middle
one.
tower shouldn't have to take this abuse.
Just farm.
Where did
Understandable.
Radiant's middle tower go?
So they've gotten something now, right? They've reached these BKB timers. They can be feeling a lot more
They'll try and
safe
kill the
to be able
clock.
to go in.
It's just an easy support. We've seen Menu Ping do this a lot. Just put himself in the compromise, the first one on the front line to try and eat some of the damage, eat the gank.
Might even just Roche off of this. It'll be slow though.
Yeah, I mean, Gush is nice and all.
An okay amount of damage. Let's see if Yip is able to scout it out. Got the swarm, of course, so you can do it
Dire's
from
bottom tower
They know what's happening. They see Varese. If they can delay this for clock to respawn, surely, yeah, they will. Early use of the arena, though, so they want Cabot to be able to protect VT Faded. The roll in instantly cancelled. A great silence to push him back. Reset. A lot of BKBs traded, though.
I think that's the big thing that they were going for. They were just trying to get some of these BKBs to be popped. But Army Geniuses, to their credit, they're not getting too antsy, right? Like, they important this Roshan is in the context. The first team that's able to pick it up just has so much more confidence in being able to push some of these outer towers, particularly the tier 2s, again, create
Invisibility.
the enemy team's chances. So you can't just go throwing out ultimates because it feels like you might be able to get one extra pick off. It needs to actually result in some smoke that we see come out. I don't want to see it just to kill a hero. It needs to be kill a hero plus an objective.
Well, it's going to be Kill Weaver up top at the moment. So they should be able to do so with just 2 of the heroes. Simultaneously in the river, the fight's breaking out on Wommy, who used the Ravage just before he dies. When you see the caution on Azura, with the BKB on cooldown, he's not heavily committing just blindly into that high ground. But now, with the extra reinforcement showing up, VT Faded still has the BKB and potential for the TP, but TP just a little bit too late. Chrono only clipping the clockwork, but still, they can probably go back to Roche, who don't have the Tide minus armor. It's about a 4, no, we'll go 3rd health down.
Oh, they're feeling a little conscious about it. I mean, the arena's back up again. BKBs are available once more for Ragdoll outside of VT Faded. Commit only with VT Faded and Citrus. Keen there, and they've got complete vision that that sort of thing is happening. I mean, it's so unfortunate for Army Geniuses, right, that they just didn't quite have the damage to be able to take out that Mars with, you know, a right click or a slide of fist. So you had to use that Fiend's Grip to be able to get the last little bit of damage to potentially open up that Roche bit. If he still had that Fiend's Grip, you know, Drow pops BKB, you just grip it, right, and you're laughing. Drow dies, that would only be her second death.
Oh no, Ragdoll. Don't run up the high ground without GY. Citrus will start. The Vayne is not the best target to be in that position. move. I think, honestly, you just need one pick-off and head into Rose. They're going to look for a second, though. Citrus has the capability to follow up from Global. He can get involved here. Okay, that should be enough damage. But that's beautiful. Like, you get the extra kill afterwards, and this is what we brought up earlier. Army Geniuses, you have to get a big fight with your ultimates committed. They're going to lose Wommy as well. It just blinks in the river. We're coming over.
Radiant's middle tower.
DB's off to the eastern side too. Even though Wommy's protected with the Ghost Scepter for some time, the marksmanship does so much damage without the extra armor.
This is a big blast.
Now, boy, you don't want to use BKB defensively, but he's forced to. Just everything not going well here for Army Geniuses through the past couple of sequences. And they're going to keep posturing
as well. They got the high ground vision. It's nighttime. Like, wards are so much more valuable around this nighttime period. They've got that minus armor. Drow is dealing an insane amount of damage right now. They're just doing a great job of protecting BT Faded in a lot of these engagements.
They're going to go. They're going to go now. Aegis picked up on Citrus. He's going to look to use this to his advantage. But a Fiend's Grip, someone needs to cancel. Menu Ping unable to do so, but the damage is still lacking. Keep in mind, the ultimate's about to come up shortly, but it might be too long as the hero is starting to crumble. They'll lose both the supports and DB. Well, he'll turn it back around. It's a Chrono before, but we were asking the question of where's the damage? Oh, that silence BT faded. The time just went straight into the silence, and there's no way to turn it back around. The hero's starting to drop. They're on top of the Ember. The stuns are lacking, but the heroes and the damage is not. Wommy the next on the agenda. They'll chase him down behind the tree line. It's a goddamn tanky tide. They'll get the kill in the end. But my god, Ragdoll, 8,000 net worth.
Are those cracks?
Faded, you absolute monster. That silence was disgusting, and they made sure not to deal any damage to the Tidehunter throughout that as well, just to make sure you got the full duration of that gust through. You might end up losing the Weaver for it. I think you're totally cool with that, but the fact that they were able to kill... you still had 3 cores alive, right, on Army Genius inside. Great Chronosphere onto 4. You had decent follow-up coming through from the Ember Spirit, but if that Ravage goes off, I feel like you could probably take that team fight. So that's the sort of thing that can completely just push a game which might have been slightly in your favor to being heavily in your favor. And the net worth chart and the win probability expresses that as well. An 81% win chance, says Gaben, towards Ragdoll.
I mean, there's still the capability in Army Geniuses to take a fight with some incredible ultimates, and I like this movement instantly from Varize. He's going to try and play some deep observer wards to maybe set up for a nice team fight around an objective they can take. Some choke point where it's going to force Ragdoll to be clumped up.
Be another 40 or so seconds though until they're able to do it. I honestly don't think you can afford to do it until you've got the the Manta style on DB. Sure, he's got the BKB, but you don't want to be forced to
Their hopes and dreams of turning this game back around will end. What, DB's? Oh, it goes back in. DB, look at maybe he's baiting. Azuri is going to join him as well. The Will of the Ages.